Hey there, fellow prospectors, Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Vintage Story Frostlands, Episode 13, Prospecting for Tin. As you can see above my head, the first thing I'm going to be working on is cooking and storing the excess meat. Right at the end of last stream, I did make crockpots, and we do have animal fat. And using the crockpots and animal fat, it's going to be possible to preserve all of the meat we got from hunting. And then shortly after I'm done with that, I'm going to poll you guys about new priorities. But I did want to make sure that all of this 47 raw red meat does not go to waste, because it is going to be challenging for me to obtain such a beautiful bounty later on. So one of the easiest ways to do it is just to stick 24 pieces for a hefty red meat stew. And fire it up, cook it, and then shove it into a crock pot. So we've got crock pots over here. And these crock pots can be sealed with fat. So that's what we're doing right at the start. And thank you for all the resub love. So right now in game, it is nighttime. It's possible? What? It's possible to go outside, but given all the work that I have inside for now, I might not even want to. Another thing that we could do, which wouldn't be a terrible idea, is... Oh, I already hear monsters. Is to fire up some additional bowls so that I can make oil lamps. Because, I don't mind resetting the torches, but at like some point, you know, I will have enough of it. And unless I find torch holders or I'm able to make brass... So let me talk very briefly about permanent light. And we've got 16 hours left on the borax wash. Alright, so a little bit more peat. So as far as permanent light goes, there's a few different ways to do it. One obvious way is lanterns, which I'm not going to be able to make for a while, because lanterns take copper plates, and copper plates only can be made on the Helve hammer. So alternative methods of lighting would be the torch holders. See, well, torch holders, again, requires brass, but you can find torch holders in dungeons, ancient torch holders, and they will prevent your torches from burning out when they're being held in holders, which is kind of a nice little benefit. But the one that I have access to right now are oil lamps. Oil lamps is just a bowl and a lump of fat, and it burns forever. It burns very dimly, but it does burn forever. And I've got like 14 lumps of fat. No, I feel personally attacked by talking about it. I got 14 lumps of fat that we could turn into some bowls, lamp oil bowls. But the thing is, I probably need more bowls. I don't want to make a bunch of lamp oil stuff and then use up all of my bowls and then prevent myself from being able to eat. So what I should do, and what I am doing now, is... And I might not have enough clay for this, but starting red bowls. And I bet... Wow, I'm bad at clicking right now. I bet my stew is going to be done in just a minute. Nope, needs more peat. So after I'm done preserving some of the red meat so it doesn't spoil, I will poll you guys about the priority that I work on after that. I did have a YouTube question about how to preserve the meat to make sure it doesn't spoil. So, depending on the type of food, there's different ways to preserve it. One obvious way to preserve meats would be through salt. You can salt it, and I don't have any salt. Salt, interestingly enough in this game, is actually rather difficult to come by. Also, Whimsy, Daedora, Estervele, Yusef, so much love in the chat. Thank you. Thank you for all the gifted subs. Here, I will even be pink in celebration. You got me changing colors now. trying to find salt is really difficult, in my opinion, in Vintage Story. It forms in two different ways. It forms as dried out lake beds, which I'm not going to really find in this biome because I live at 47-ish degrees north. Dried lake beds would be way, way south of me. Or halite domes, salt domes. But they're underground, and they're, in my opinion, rather difficult to search for. And therefore, it's not something that I typically will find early on without an enormous amount of luck. All right, so here we go. This is a fired crock that has 4 servings of hefty red meat stew in it. And if you want to seal it, you just stick fat on it, and you use fat to seal the seal. And then you can stick this in a vessel, and this thing will store for a very long time. Well, Portapain, thank you for even more gifted subs. It is quite the hype train. The other 2 servings... I am going to cook up 2 more hefty servings, I think. Like that, and then the rest of the meat I'll cook something else with. I'll do something else. Alright, looks to me like we're out of peat. Because I can count up to 0. I don't know if the denizens out here are going to allow me to get peat without heavily harassing me. Where's my shovel? Do I not have a shovel? Legitimately, I don't have a shovel? Oh, no, I have a shovel. Okay. Let's get a little peat. And then maybe fire up the pig kiln as well. Yeah, thank you for the hype train. Quite unexpected. What a way to lift spirits at the start, as I'm cold, naked, and starving. My silly little starter home. It's so ugly. It's endearing. Alright, this thing is going to need peat to keep it going. Let's do the clay bowls so I can make some oil lamps. I need more dry grass, but not too much more. Alright, some sticks. And more of that lovely peat. Well, you guys just keep pushing that hype train up. I don't know what I did to deserve it, but I appreciate it all the same. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Okay, so here's another fired crock. This one I am not going to seal, somewhat for science. So if I have 2 crocks, the one that I sealed is fresh for 1.2 years, and the other one hasn't cooled down from cooking yet, so it's not going to give me an accurate read. But what I will do is I will wait until it gives me an accurate read, so that you guys can see the difference between sealed and unsealed, given my current temperature levels of the base and all that. Sounded like a drifter just set itself on fire around my pit kiln. That would be really, really funny. I hear something over this way. Did you get burned? Yeah, I think you got burned. Fire bad. Yeah, such a caveman. Alright, one of the other things I wanted to do is the non-perishables, which is oddly ice, get moved outside. I'm going to keep fat and roots, things that, like, are meal ingredients, still indoors. But I'll start to slightly organize my stuff. Actually, no, rawhides need to go back inside. But slightly organize my stuff. Rawhides are perishable. Alright, the other... so the first poll of the stream, let me do that. And I'll quickly explain some of the benefits of the poll options. But, number one, craft fur clothing and a bow out of pelts. So, I could do some additional hunting and get more hides to turn into pelts instead of leather. And I will show you some of those recipes here. So I'm going to pause the game. If we make pelts, so a pelt is an oiled hide. When you kill an animal, you get a hide, and you can either tan it into leather or make it into a pelt. So if you make it into a pelt, you can make fur clothing, which will keep me a little bit warmer as it gets colder. And also you can turn pelts into a longbow. Option number two, prospect for copper and tin. That's pretty straightforward. In order to enter the Iron Age, I am at least going to need bronze in order to mine my first iron. So prospecting for tin or cassiterite would be a prerequisite to become iron. Build a farm for the bees and the berries. So at the end of the last stream, I found a beehive. There was bees up here, and I could build a skep and encourage the bees to swarm into my skep, move this skep to a farm that I build, and fill the farm with a mix of berry bushes and flowers. Berry flowers to allow the bees to continue to spread to nearby skeps, so I can potentially harvest it for honey, and then berry bushes to see if I can't have them produce more berries deeper into the winter. I could scout out the location for the main base, or build a trap to catch bunnies and chickens. So a trap to catch bunnies and chickens is pretty straightforward. It's basically just like have something that they want to eat in the middle of a pit that they can't reach. They fall into the pit, they're stuck. You can also put trap boxes down if you want. These things to try to trap them. And then, if you have chickens, for instance, you get to move them around. You can start a chicken coop. But I probably wouldn't want a chicken coop until I have, like, an idea of where my main base is. But even with that said, a chicken coop is not a great thing to build near your base. The reason being, when you build a chicken coop, you have to live kind of far away from it. Okay, that is not a valid meal. You have to live far away from it in order for it to be, for them to not be so skittish to not propagate. I did not explain that well, but I think you followed along. Alright, so this is just a meal. Actually, let's do it like that. This is just another meal for me to fill up my belly. But my protein, fruit, and veggies is basically full, and my grain is nearly all the way there. Alright, checking on the farm. We have some crops that are like stage 2, stage 3. I don't see a lot of stunted, which is great. It means that they're surviving fairly well. Oh, I didn't mean to leave the base. Getting lost in my own base. It's not even that big. And we've got 12 more hours on the borax wash. So it looks to me like prospecting or a farm for bees is kind of... I wouldn't say tied, but it's neck and neck. So if you would like to be a tiebreaker, feel free. Because once day breaks, I'm going to be working on one of those two things. Likely. So if I am going to be prospecting for copper and tin, I've got plenty of packed dirt. More torches might be nice, but I don't believe I have access to the grass right now. So that's something I'm going to want to probably throw together pretty early on in the morning. Because, whoops. If we are prospecting... A lot of the times prospecting actually doesn't require a lot of torches. But we've done a little bit of prospecting, and we've really come up dry. I have a spare pick now, too, right? Yes. Let's take that spare pick. So in terms of the copper that I have in the base, I've got enough for 2 more tools. As I mentioned before, and I mentioned a lot, because it's a newbie mistake that I've made aplenty, never, ever, ever run out of your last pick and last hammer without spare materials, because if you do, you end up in a situation where you're just kind of screwed, to put it simply. Because if you don't have a pick and a hammer, you don't have the ability to do mining anymore. You're back to scouring for, copper, surface copper. And that super sucks. Alright, so the difference of sealed and unsealed. Sealed is 1.3 years. Unsealed is 36 days. Big difference if we want to seal. So I think what I'm going to do is I am going to seal the second batch of hefty stew. And attempt not to eat it. I know how funny that sounds. But essentially attempt to not rely upon it. And it looks like we are going to go prospecting. So start prospecting for copper and tin. Does the crock get destroyed when you unseal it? No. It just requires more new fat to reseal it. Alright, so currently in game it is 5 in the morning, almost 5 in the morning. So let me talk a little bit as I'm like standing here. Maybe I'll stare at the fire or something. I don't know. I'll stare out the window longingly for peace and quiet. Talk a little bit about trying to find copper and tin. And I'm going to have to reference the Vintage Story wiki for this, for the exact information. But copper and tin does not generate around the world evenly. Ore deposits can be found depending on the ground stone that they're in. And also, like, there's also, of course, chance, too. So, sometimes you're just in a low copper or a low tin region. Sometimes you're not. So what I'm hoping to do is we're going to have to do, like, a bit of travel. We're going to have to explore a bit and look for copper and tin. So I know right around me, we have poor native copper and, like, no semblance of tin. Let me hide everything but the prospecting. So here's just the prospecting map. I can also add terrain, but... So up here, to the northeast, there's poor cassiterite and essentially no copper. To the northwest. To the northeast, there's some hematite. So if I'm looking for iron, this place might be good, but we're not looking for iron right now, as I have no capability of exploiting it. And then right where I am here, it's poor for basically everything. The materials that form on the surface does not dictate the materials that form underground. So, like, the surface copper that I found so far doesn't correlate to deep copper veins underneath it. What forms on the surface and what forms underground are totally separate ore generation. With that said, if I'm looking for malachite, which is a type of copper, it can only really be found in limestone and marble. And if I'm looking for native copper, which is more easy to find, it's most plentiful in basalt, but I don't know of any... And this is one of the reasons why I keep the real color terrain map. By default, your terrain map is kind of like, looks like aged papyrus. But I use the real color terrain map because you can just tell. Like, for instance, this is probably bauxite. So if I'm ever needing bauxite... And actually, this gravel might be shale gravel. If I'm looking for a specific type of material, I can tell from a glance very easily, and maybe I'll even label this as potentially bauxite. Bauxite is a required resource for steelmaking and beehive kilns. So my point is, depending on the ground material that you have underneath you, your chance of finding copper or tin or iron changes a little bit, because some biomes or some ground or sediment layers have a higher chance of it. So, for instance, shale, or like if you're looking for iron or lead, sorry, you know, you could go into chert or shale, or, you know, and that's what I'm saying is I'm going to want to go from not just look around locally. Let me hide the other waypoints. Not just look around locally, but really do some honest travel. Do some leg in it to try to do prospecting. So that's what I'm going to start doing. For that, I need a prospecting pick. I'm also going to take some spare spears out of mostly paranoia. Here's my pro pick. Put that on 7, 8, 9. Put the torch, some of the torches away. Have a meal. And I'll top up this meal. Oh no, there's still 70% of the servings left. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do is head eastward. Just arbitrarily eastward, looking for copper or tin. Other than height for wind, is there anything else I'm thinking about for a forever base? No, just height. So to explain that game mechanic, it would make a little bit more sense to explain it once I'm scouting for a base location. But sea level in default map generation is at 110. So right now I'm at 113. So I'm like 3 voxels higher than sea level. For every 10 voxels up from sea level, you gain like wind power. So if you build your base, or rather if you build a windmill in higher elevations, you get like bonus wind. And that can be very, very handy when trying to run a health hammer or a pulverizer or an automated quarn. Yeah, these are a bunch of deer. Okay. Save them for later. I feel like my waypoints are not... Yeah, there we go. They weren't showing for some reason. I've marked down that there are mushrooms here. I must have harvested them. So here, I don't think I have a prospecting point nearby. So yeah, let's prospect here. Do a density search, and I hope my prospecting pick like holds up. But I do have a mold now, so replacing it isn't the hardest thing in the world. Oh, high hematite. So it's a good iron spot. I'm not looking for iron, but that's going to be useful information later on. Also looks like there's some potentially flowering cranberry bushes around, so I should keep an eye out for cranberries. And it doesn't... The densities, and maybe I'll just demonstrate this, checking prospecting like very close to where you last prospected is not going to provide you too much more information. So the only reason to do that is if you are already on like a hot spot and you're trying to find where it's hottest. So I'm just prospecting here just to demonstrate that it's basically going to be the same as the last search. And there it is. It's basically the same as the last search. High hematite. You know, it has a little bit more zinc here than the last spot. The hematite's actually lower. But just the hematite being lower doesn't mean there is hematite here and not the other place. It's just a chance. So that search there is in 1,000 blocks, there is a 3 in 1,000 chance for hematite. That's how to read that. It's 3 milli. And generally, the highest you'll see is like 10 to 20. If something's 20, it's like damn near guaranteed you're going to find a vein underneath. Well, not guaranteed, but very high likelihood that there's a vein nearby. And I would say anything over 5 milli is like maybe worth excavating, or at least considering to search. Looks like we have a bunch of oaks here. Oh, these are maples, or walnuts rather, but this is an oak. I don't need to mark it down for later. Just good to know that there's a bit of an oak forest. Some dead critters, so there might be a predator afoot. And let's... What is the groundstone here? Conglomerate? Okay, let's check this area. Oh, hi, Fox. Obviously, there's drifters somewhere in the caves. If you hear drifters during the day, it's like caves. Decent native... Whoa! Yeah! 13 million native copper. Minuscule amounts of Oh, hello. Of halite. Cassiterite's pretty poor, though. So that might not be a bad copper spot. Oh, I don't feel comfortable coming in through these big, bushy hills. Here's some conglomerate gravel. I don't like being near cave entrances and gravel fields because they like to collapse as soon as you interact with them. This mountainous region, let's poke around too. So I would love to find some deep copper and some deep cassiterite. Those are two of the big needs right now so that I can make bronze. I have a little bit of copper, and I know where some surface copper is, so if I only find cassiterite, that's fine. But, like, ideally both would be great. And this stuff is quartz, if you're wondering. We're in granite. I'm not getting the quartz because it requires bronze tools to obtain, so... decent sphalerite, which is zinc, poor hematite. So it was hot for copper here. Where's my original base? Oh, it's pretty close to my original base. So it's pretty hot for copper here, but way worse up here in the conglomerate gravel. There is meteoric iron down here. Meteor iron. Because I see loose meteoric iron pieces just literally sitting out. That's dope. Surface iron. I'm going to leave it there so that I can find my way back more easily once I have bronze tools. Because it's not going to be enough iron for me to, like, scoop up loose pieces, for me to actually fire up into something significant, because you need at least 20 to make anything. But it would be pretty crazy to find enough, like, loose meteoric iron to make your first, like, iron tool without ever getting bronze, skipping an age. It's also entirely possible to get, like, a bronze pickaxe from a broken vessel or something like that. Like, that's very doable. So, I know that there's surface lead that we found around here, so it wouldn't surprise me if this had a decent read of galena, which is ore lead. So let's check out around this section. You need iron tools for meteor iron? True. Minuscule amounts of galena, poor copper, decent hematite, poor zinc. Alright, looks like the copper vein, we're not getting any closer. So I'm going to double back towards... Oh, what is going on down here? Hey, don't go throwing stones. I know this isn't a glass house, but I still don't appreciate it. So the best copper spot we've had is over here, 13 milli. So I'm going to start prospecting around that copper spot. I was really holding my breath for some cassiterite lead. Or, I mean, there's multiple different ways to make bronze. So there's bismuth bronze, black bronze, and tin bronze. Tin bronze is probably the most common. Tin bronze is a mix of tin and copper. You know, like 10 to 90 or so. Black bronze is copper, silver, gold. It's stronger than tin bronze. It's like, if you take a look at like the Falks, for instance, made from tin bronze or black bronze. This thing does 4.8 hit point damage. And then if we take a look at like tin bronze, for instance, for the same tool, it's 4.5. So like black bronze is hits harder than tin bronze. It's just, are you going to use your silver and gold that way? And then there's bismuth bronze, which is zinc, bismuth, and copper. And as you can see, that's even worse than tin bronze. If I have to, I mean, I don't really care how I get bronze, truth be told. Like, as soon as I get bronze, I'm going to be looking to get iron, right? I tend not to try to linger in the Bronze Age unnecessarily long, if I can help it, because iron is just so much better than bronze. It's definitely more labor-intensive, but it also lasts a lot longer. So, there's some distinct advantages. All right, let's see if there's any copper here. So whatever lead I get for whatever type of bronze, like, I don't care. I just want a bronze. And yeah, there's durability and armor. So the different types of bronzes have different stats for different things. So some are more durable, some hit harder, etc., etc. High native copper. So this is an 18 milli. This is the highest read we've had so far by a lot. I bet if I start excavating downwards, I would hit copper in this area. That would be my guess. So now I'm going to prospect around this area to try to find the hottest hot spot to increase my chances. I have not found gold yet, no. I know where some silver is. The silver, however... So one of the issues with trying to go for black bronze is... Wow! Copper sucked in this spot. Oh my goodness. One of the issues trying to go for black bronze instead of the other bronzes is that silver and gold are... going to be inside, like, quartz, which requires stronger tools, so you're not going to make use of black bronze easily as your first bronze. And there's horsetail, yeah. We're pretty far away from, like, home, but I'll harvest some for bandages. So now I'm just trying to find the best spot to start, like, a copper mine. This is 19 milli, this is 18 milli, so this is the best so far. This even has a chance for halite, which would be salt. I would love to find salt. I'm just not going to hold my breath, because trying to find salt domes suck. Salt domes, so one of the reasons why salt domes are so hard to find is they form in, like, vertical C-stack columns. So instead of, like, a large disc, which ores form in large discs, like a dinner plate, salt domes form like a very tall shot glass. So when you're digging down, you're far less likely to hit a salt dome because it's a vertical shot glass that's very easy to miss. Plus, it doesn't... it's hard to pro-pick for, whereas ores are much easier to pro-pick for. But if I find salt, oh man, I'd be happy. I'll make some jerky. Yeah, it was right by my starter shack, I know. It's just crazy how that worked out. I was sitting on a motherload of copper, like, in my starter home. Alright, this is about the same as the last spot. This is about 19 milli. So this whole area seems to be pretty hot. I'm going to try maybe 2 more pro-pick spots. To try to hone in on, you know, create like a domino, you know, or a... So this is all gravel. But I'll dig for it. Normally I wouldn't bother digging for prospecting because it's just a lot of shoveling. What do you require before going cave diving? It depends on your risk level, like what you're comfortable with, and also how deep the cave is. The TLDR is the deeper you go, the more difficult the things that you're going to run into. So if you plan on like diving to the lowest levels and you're naked, expect to get murdered instantly by everything that sneezes on you. So generally I would say an abundance of caution and armor. Alright, this was 19 copper. Oh, almost 20. So it's the hottest spot that I found right where I am here. Oh, maybe I can save myself. Oh yeah, here we go. It's actually possible that this cave would have like copper in it. You've been playing this game with friends and you wanted to thank me? Hey, well, I appreciate you tuning in. Are there useful things worth fixing? Yes. Okay, copper was worse here than anywhere else I've been recently. So the band of copper is somewhere around here. So I found copper. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Well, okay, that was not a deep hole. Let's try to find tin. I wouldn't mind trying to find tin, like, close to where the copper is, out of convenience. Or actually, I'll ask you guys. Should I search for deep copper or prospect for tin? So with that in mind, I do have knowledge of some additional surface copper, so I don't necessarily need to go for deep copper right now. It is 2 p.m. in game. And I think what I might end up doing, because it looks like y'all are just go for tin. Or really, I would say calling it tin is wrong. I'm going for anything that can be turned into bronze. So, I don't care if it's tin necessarily. Just some bronze making is what I'm truly looking for. And I did mention that I wanted some horsetail. Maybe I'll leave a market down. It is a flower. Where's the flower icon? Why am I blind? Whatever, I'll just... Horse tile. There we go. Horsetail. I'll call it a berry. Just getting some of this so I can make poultices later on while I'm here. The only flower in the game that propagates is horsetail, thankfully. Because horsetail is made into poultices for bandages. So if you want horsetail, all you got to do is, like... Oh, that's a bowthorn. All you got to do is till, like, an open field, and some of it will turn into horsetail. Which I could do if I was desperate. Okay, copper here, not so good. Cassiterite, even worse. Got it. One of the reasons to try to prospect around the caves is cave exploring doesn't wear out your pick. Oh, hello. Like, I gotta just run. I don't know how long that thing's gonna chase me. Cave exploring doesn't wear out your pick. You just have to slap some torches down. So, often, it's cheaper on your tools to exploit resources from a cave. I did not appreciate being chased off by a wolf. I'm gonna head back towards home. Not actually going home, but back towards home, because if I would prefer to find bronze-making ores within a reasonable distance of running from home. I don't have to run a marathon just to grab some bronze. So I'm looking for some exposed rock faces around here. Once you have a lantern, another strategy that you can employ is, oh, geez, oh, scare the hell out of me, is to use a lantern and go underwater. Lanterns are waterproof, so you can spelunk with them. Hold your breath and look for, do some prospecting underwater where the stone is exposed. Alright, absolutely sucked here. The worst spot I've quarried to date. Or prospected. I am losing daylight, so maybe what I'll do is swing by the southern edge of this lake and then move back towards home. And set out tomorrow. So I'll be going west in a minute. Actually, another good use of my time would be to go to another surface copper area and mine up some deeper copper. Cassiterite absolutely sucks here. Which is too bad. Giant cave. I don't know what that is. Looks like a black bear. I'm gonna back away. Well, it's gonna get annoying here. Let's see if I can't prospect and run. There's like no exposed stone though. Thank you for tuning in to Vintage Story Frostlands, which originally streamed live on Twitch November 21st. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you would like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching, and a special thank you to my Patreon patrons, Twitch subscribers, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow Seraphs.